If you ever think a family crisis will arrive with fireworks, you're giving it too much credit. Ours arrived in plain white paper. The IRS letter showed up on a Tuesday, wedged between grocery coupons and a flyer from Paige's middle school about a bake sale. I carried the stack inside, sorted it on the kitchen counter, and tore open the envelope without even sitting down. Notice of underreported income, it said in bold, like the paper itself was clearing its throat. Then the sentence that turned my coffee cold. We have received wage information for Lila R. Ellison from an employer not reported on your return. I read it twice, 3 times. The words didn't soften. Lila and I filed jointly, always had. I handled taxes because my job trained me to trust spreadsheets, not vibes. If the IRS said we underreported income, it meant one of 2 things. 1, we made a mistake, or 2, someone was lying. The kitchen was quiet except for the refrigerator hum and the distant sound of my son Noah's shower upstairs. I flattened the letter on the counter, smoothed it like it might become more reasonable if I treated it gently. The employer name sat there in black ink, Riverstone Resource Group, LLC. I stared at it. I had never heard of Riverstone. And 3 months ago, my wife had told me she'd been hired by a company called Horizon Talent Partners. Not Riverstone. Not anything with Resource Group in the name. I checked the date on the letter, issued 6 days ago, which meant the IRS had already been fed a story about my wife. The front door opened. Cool morning air drifted in with the smell of wet leaves. Lila stepped into the kitchen, hair damp from her shower, robe loosely tied, her expression calm in a way that suddenly felt like an act. "Morning," she said. "Coffee ready?" I didn't answer. I slid the letter across the counter toward her. Her smile held for half a second too long, like a photo that lagged before loading. Then her eyes dropped to the page, and her face changed. Not into guilt, into calculation. "What is this?" I asked. Lila exhaled slowly. "It's probably a mistake." "It says underreported income," I said. "It says wage information. It says your employer is Riverstone Resource Group." "I don't know Riverstone," she said too fast. "My job is Horizon." "Then why does the IRS think you worked somewhere else?" She lifted the letter, scanned it, and shook her head as if she could shake the problem out like water from her hair. "This is weird," she said. "I'll call HR." "What HR?" I asked. "The Horizon HR you've never introduced me to, that never sends paper mail and that changes its name every time I see it on your phone?" Her eyes flashed. "Mark, don't start." "Don't start?" My voice sounded calm, but my pulse wasn't. "Lila, the IRS doesn't send love letters. They send these when someone tells them you made money." She tightened her robe belt like she could cinch the conversation shut. "It's not like I did something wrong." I stared at her. That wasn't an answer. That was a deflection. And deflection is what you use when the truth is inconvenient. "My name is Mark Ellison. I'm 58 years old, and I've spent most of my life in operations, distribution networks, vendor contracts, compliance audits. The kind of work where you learn that most disasters aren't loud. They're quiet. They look like routine. They sit on your kitchen counter disguised as mail." Lila is 52. We've been married 19 years, 2 kids, Noah, 16, and Paige, 13. Lila used to work in dental billing. Steady job, decent benefits, nothing glamorous. Then the clinic got bought by a bigger chain and restructured. Fewer hours, lower pay. She came home furious one Friday, slammed a folder on the table, and said she was done being undervalued. I supported her. I meant it. I told her she'd find something better. 2 weeks later, she said she did. She came home holding her phone like a trophy. "I got a remote job," she said, eyes bright. "Full-time, benefits, better pay, and I can finally breathe." Remote work isn't rare anymore. But something about the way she said it, like it had appeared out of thin air, made my gut tighten. "What company?" I asked. Horizon Talent Partners, she said. They do staffing and onboarding for health systems. I'll be handling reimbursement claims. Do you have an offer letter? I asked. She waved her hand. It's all digital. Can I see it? Her smile tightened. Why? Because I'm your husband, I wanted to say. Because we share a mortgage. Because we share kids. Because money isn't a solo hobby when you're married. But I didn't want to kill her excitement, so I let it go. For a while, everything looked normal. She got paid every other Friday, direct deposit, a little more than she used to make. She bought a new laptop, said it was required, ordered a headset, webcam, second monitor. Our dining room became her office. She took calls in a soft voice, laughed at messages, typed late into the evening. She looked alive again, and I wanted that for her. So I ignored the small things. The pay stubs were PDFs with no letterhead, just clean black text. The benefits portal looked like it was built in 2009. And every time I walked past, she angled the laptop screen away by instinct. I told myself I was being paranoid. Until the IRS letter turned all the small things into one big thing. Lila held the letter and said, "I'll handle it." And that's when I knew I couldn't let her handle it alone. Because handle it is what people say when they want to keep you out of the details. "I'm coming with you," I said. "To call HR?" she asked, eyebrows lifting. "To figure out why the federal government thinks we owe them money," I said. Her jaw clenched. "You don't trust me?" "Right now?" I said. "I trust paperwork. And the paperwork doesn't trust us." Upstairs, Noah's door opened. Footsteps, a backpack zipper. Normal life continuing above our heads. I lowered my voice. "We're not doing this in front of the kids," I said. "But we are doing it," Lila swallowed. "Fine," she said. "After work." After work. After she went back to her mysterious job. That afternoon, while Lila was working at the dining room table, I opened our joint bank account on my laptop. I wasn't proud of it. I wasn't trying to spy. I was trying to understand. I searched her payroll deposits. They were labeled RSRG Payroll, not Horizon, not Talent Partners. RSRG, Riverstone Resource Group. My chest tightened. Every deposit for the last 3 months had been Riverstone. The IRS hadn't guessed, they'd been told. Then I saw the second pattern. 2 days after every payroll deposit, there was a matching outgoing transfer. Same rhythm, slightly different amounts. Label, Vendor Equipment Re-IMB. Destination, a bank I didn't recognize. It was like watching a magic trick in reverse. The paycheck appeared, and then it vanished. Destination name, Southern Equipment Services, Procurement. Words that make money movement sound legitimate. But the outgoing transfers weren't normal bill payments. They were manual transfers at specific times. Someone was moving money out. I took screenshots. Then I did what audits teach you. Check the source. Riverstone Resource Group LLC existed on the Ohio Secretary of State site, formed 8 months ago. Registered agent, a mail service address in Columbus. Business description, consulting. No website, no phone, no footprint. A shell. Horizon Talent Partners had a website, but the domain was new, filled with stock photos and generic language. The address on the site? A co-working space. My stomach went cold. I knew this pattern from compliance training at work. Shell company, clean website, payroll deposits, vendor reimbursements. A money mule pipeline. People imagine laundering as duffel bags. Most of the time, it's payroll. A job that pays you with stolen funds, then instructs you to send back a portion to a vendor for equipment or onboarding. The victim thinks they're buying a laptop. They're washing someone else's crime. And when banks and the IRS trace it, the mule is the one whose name sits on the transfers. I stared across the room at Lila's back as she typed. She looked like a woman doing normal work in a normal home, and I realized the target wasn't just our money. It was our identity. At 5:18 p.m., Lila shut her laptop and stretched. "Long day," she said. I didn't move from the kitchen chair. "We need to talk." Her shoulders stiffened. "About the letter?" "About Riverstone," I said. She blinked. "What about it?" I turned the laptop toward her. She leaned in. Her eyes scanned the deposits and transfers. Her throat bobbed. That's just," she began. "Those are your paychecks," I said. "And those are transfers out." "It's part of onboarding," she said too fast. "They reimburse equipment and then I pay the vendor." "They pay you so you can pay someone else," I said. "Yes," she snapped. "It's normal." "It's not normal," I said quietly. "It's a laundering pattern." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't talk to me like I'm stupid." "I'm not," I said. "I'm talking to you like someone who might be getting used." For a moment, I thought she might cry. Instead, she hardened. "You think I'm gullible?" "No," I said. "I think you were desperate to feel valued again." She flinched, because I'd hit the real thing. "They told me it's temporary," she said, voice lower. "Just while they set up direct vendor payment. Compliance requires an internal reimbursement loop." "Who is they?" I asked. She hesitated. Then, "Jared." The name hit me like cold water. "Jared who?" "Jared Albright," she said. "From my old billing training program. We reconnected on LinkedIn. He said his company needed experienced people." "Have I met him?" "No," she said quickly. "He's remote." Remote. Convenient. "Show me the messages," I said. "No," she said, too quick again. "Lila," I said, "the IRS thinks you made money. The bank records show you moved money. If this is a scam, we're the ones holding the bag." Her hands balled into fists. "You're controlling." It was textbook. Cornered people accuse you of the thing they fear being exposed. "I'm trying to protect our family," I said. Her eyes filled. "I needed this job," she whispered. "I needed something to be mine." And there it was. Not the money, the need. "I get that," I said. "But if Jared put you in a fraud pipeline, it's not yours. It's a trap." Finally, she sank into the chair. "What do we do?" A real question. "We stop transfers," I said. "Immediately. We freeze credit. We call the bank fraud department. And we call a tax attorney." "If I stop, they'll..." "They'll do what?" I asked gently. She looked away. "He said if I mess it up, they'll report me," she whispered. "He said I'll get in trouble." "That's how they keep you," I said. "They make you feel responsible for their crime." That night, after the kids went to bed, I called the bank's fraud department. A woman named Monica didn't sound surprised. "Are the deposits labeled payroll, followed by outflows to a procurement vendor?" she asked. "Yes," I said. Monica exhaled. "Common mule pattern," she said. "We'll file a suspicious activity report, stop outgoing transfers, preserve communications." "Are we in trouble?" I asked. "That depends," she said carefully. "On cooperation and on whether funds were knowingly moved after suspicion." Lila sat on the couch, hugging a throw pillow like it could protect her. "We'll cooperate," I said. Monica helped us freeze transfers, reset credentials, add extra authentication. Then she said something that scared me more than the IRS letter. "Check your credit reports," she said. "Scammers often expand." I opened my credit monitoring app. Hard inquiry, 3 weeks ago. Applicant, Lila R. Ellison. Purpose, personal loan. Amount requested, $18,000. I turned the phone toward Lila. Her eyes snapped to it, then away. "Did you apply for a loan?" I asked. She hesitated, which was an answer. "Jared said it would help onboarding," she whispered. "Show commitment." I didn't take it. "Did you click accept?" I asked. Her voice cracked. "I clicked things," she said. It was online. That's when the crisis stopped being about a scam and became about boundaries. Because scams don't only steal money, they hijack judgment. The next morning, I took a personal day and drove downtown with Lila to a small office with a blunt sign on the door. Tax controversy. IRS defense. Fraud response. Reggie Watkins looked like a man who'd spent his career arguing with machines that send letters. He read the notice, my screenshots, and the exported signal messages. He didn't look shocked. He looked annoyed on our behalf. "Classic payroll mule," he said. "Sometimes it's small time. Sometimes it's tied to bigger fraud. Benefit claims, synthetic IDs, stolen identities. What happens to us?" I asked. "If you act fast, document everything, and cooperate, you can position yourselves as victims," he said. "But your wife must stop contact immediately." Lila's face tightened. Reggie tapped the IRS letter. "This is likely automated," he said. "They got a W-2 or wage report. We respond with an identity fraud affidavit, a request for wage transcripts, and proof you reported." He looked at Lila. "Did you give them your social security number?" "Yes," she whispered. "Then they can file anything," he said. "You freeze credit at all bureaus, full freeze, and we check for new bank accounts. Then we file FTC and police reports for a case number." A case number, a paper trail, the language I understood. Before we left, Reggie gave us another name, Hank Odom, former bank investigator, now private. "Fraud isn't just math," Reggie said. "It's psychology. Hank will help you anticipate their moves." On the drive home, Lila stared out the window and whispered, "I'm going to lose the job." "It wasn't a job," I said. She didn't answer. That evening, Paige leaned in the doorway of the dining room, watching her mom stare at her phone with trembling hands. "Mom," Paige said softly, "why are you scared of your phone?" Lila flinched like Paige had touched a bruise. "It's just work stuff," Lila said. Paige frowned. "Work shouldn't make you scared." Kids can be sharper than adults because they don't have decades of excuses. They see the truth with fewer filters. After the kids went to bed, I sat with Lila and said, "Show me everything." She handed me her phone. The messages were on Signal. At the top, Jared. Friendly, encouraging. "You're exactly what we need. You're going to do great. You're already ahead of the other new hires." Then instructions. "Payroll will hit Friday. Transfer 80% to Southern Procurement to finalize equipment. Keep the remainder as your stipend." Lila's replies were anxious, grateful, eager. "Is this safe? Why can't you pay them directly? Do I need to report anything?" Jared's replies were smooth. "Compliance, temporary, standard. Trust me." Then, 3 weeks ago, "Your W-2 will show Riverstone for back-end payroll. Normal." And then the message that made my stomach twist. "I don't want Mark to know about the transfers. He'll freak out." Secrecy. A choice. I handed the phone back, slowly. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. She lifted her chin defensively. "Because you'd ruin it," she said. "You'd make me quit. You'd make me go back to being nothing." "You're not nothing," I said. "That's easy for you," she said bitterly. "You have a job people respect." "Respect doesn't come from a paycheck," I said. "And this paycheck is poison." Silence stretched. Then my phone rang, unknown number. My gut said, "Jared." I answered on speaker. "Hello?" A man's voice slid through, warm and smooth. "Lila?" "This is Mark," I said.
Her husband.
A pause, then a light chuckle. "Ah, Mark, I was hoping we could all be on the same page." "Who is this?" I asked. "You know," he said. "Jared." Lila's face went pale. "We noticed the transfer didn't go through," Jared continued. "Bank hiccup. Resend it." "We're not sending anything," I said. The friendliness cooled. "Mark," he said, "you don't want to complicate this. There are compliance logs, wage reporting. If you interfere, it can look like intent." There it was, the threat wrapped in bureaucracy. "Do not contact my wife again," I said. Jared sighed as if I were being unreasonable. "I'm trying to protect her. She's already committed. If she stops, it becomes an issue." "It's already an issue," I said, "because you're running a scam." Silence. Then the warmth dropped away like a mask. "You think you're clever," Jared said quietly, "but you don't understand what you're stepping into." "This call is recorded," I said. Jared laughed once, sharp. "Record whatever you want. Your wife signed things. She moved money. Paper doesn't care who cried." Then he hung up. That line lodged in my chest like a splinter. Paper doesn't care who cried. The next day, a FedEx envelope arrived addressed to Lila. Inside, a glossy welcome packet, a company handbook, and a single page titled Employee Responsibility Acknowledgement. It included a sentence that made my stomach flip. "Employee understands all reimbursements processed through employee accounts are authorized and not subject to dispute." They were building legal cover after the fact. Reggie didn't even sigh when I read it to him. "Playbook," he said. "Don't sign. Bring it in." The week that followed became a blur of action. We filed an FTC report, a police report for documentation, identity theft affidavits, credit freezes, bank flags. Reggie requested wage transcripts from the IRS and filed a hold request so the machine would stop sending automated threats. Hank came to our house on a Saturday morning. Gray hair, calm eyes, a notebook that looked like it had absorbed 1,000 bad stories. He listened to the pattern, then asked questions no one else asked. "How did Jared find Lila?" he said. "LinkedIn," Lila whispered. "What details did she share?" Hank asked. Lila hesitated. "My resume," she said. "Where I used to work." Hank nodded. "So they knew your employment history. That helps them create convincing wage reports and unemployment claims," he said. Then he looked at me. "Mark, do you know how they keep people in the pipeline?" "Fear," I said. "Fear," Hank agreed. "And shame. They'll threaten. Then they'll try to make you too embarrassed to tell anyone. The moment you tell, you cut their power." That night, Paige asked me if Mom was sick. I wanted to say yes because it would have been simpler. "She's stressed," I told her, "and we're going to help her." Paige nodded, then said something that hurt because it was true. "Dad," she whispered, "you're the only one who looks like you know what's happening." I didn't tell her that sometimes knowing is just the ability to keep your face steady while your insides shake. 2 weeks later, the wage transcripts arrived, and the story got worse. The IRS didn't just have wages from Riverstone. They had wages from 2 other employers. Westridge Medical Outreach, Clearlight Benefits Admin. 3 employers, 3 payroll streams, all reported under Lila's SSN. Lila stared at the transcript like it might bite her. "I never worked there," she whispered. "No," Reggie said, "but someone said you did." We checked unemployment systems. There was a claim filed in Lila's name in a state we'd never lived in. A healthcare marketplace account opened. The scam wasn't a stream, it was a flood. Lila started crying in Reggie's office, quiet, ashamed tears. Reggie slid her a tissue and said, not unkindly, "You're not the only one, but you have to stop protecting the part of yourself that feels embarrassed. Embarrassment is the hook." On the way home, Lila whispered, "I didn't know." I believed she didn't know the full scale, but I also knew she'd chosen secrecy, and that mattered. A week after that, the intimidation escalated. An unknown number texted Lila a photo of our house taken from across the street. Then a second photo, Paige walking home from the bus stop. No text, just images. My blood went cold. Lila made a sound like she'd been punched. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Hank and Detective Morales, the officer assigned to our report. Morales didn't promise miracles. He promised documentation. "They're trying to scare you back into paying," he said. "Don't." That night, I sat with Noah and Paige at the kitchen table. I didn't tell them everything. Teen brains don't need every detail to produce fear. But they needed enough to feel safe. "If you see anything weird," I said, "cars you don't recognize, people taking pictures, you tell me immediately." Paige's eyes widened. "Why?" she asked. "Just being careful," I said, forcing a calm smile. Noah watched me with that older kid perception that sees through adult lies. "Is Mom's job a scam?" he asked quietly. Lila flinched. "It looks like someone used the idea of a job to move money," I said. "We're fixing it." Noah's jaw tightened. "So Mom messed up?" Lila's shoulders shook. I didn't correct him because correction would have sounded like minimizing. And minimizing is what got us here. That weekend, Hank drove to the Horizon co-working address and called me from the parking lot. "There's no Horizon," he said. "No suite number. Just a mailbox service inside the lobby." "What about Riverstone?" I asked. Hank laughed without humor. "Same," he said. "Mail service in Ohio. It's all paper scaffolding." Paper scaffolding, fake buildings made of forms. Then Hank said, "Mark, I want you to hear this clearly. They will try to make your wife feel like she's the criminal. They will threaten to report her. They might even file things under her name to create proof." "What do we do?" I asked. "We keep doing what they hate," Hank said. "We slow down. We document. We put adults in the room." That night, Lila finally admitted the part she'd minimized. "He said I could keep 10%, she whispered. 10%. Not a mastermind, but not innocent. A cut. A reason to ignore red flags. "Did you know it was stolen?" I asked, voice low. She shook her head violently. "No," she cried. "I thought it was corporate money, reimbursements. I didn't think—" "But you knew it looked wrong," I said. "That's why you hid it." Silence. Then quieter. "I was ashamed." Shame again. The hook. Reggie's next recommendation was blunt. "Separate finances," he said. "Not as punishment, as protection. You want a clean line showing Mark did not participate, and you need to stop any future movement." Lila heard separate and looked like I'd punched her. "You're leaving me?" she said. "I'm protecting the kids," I replied. Reggie's voice was practical. "This isn't about love," he said. "It's about liability. Liability kills romance. But romance doesn't matter when the IRS thinks you worked 3 jobs you never had." We opened a new account in my name for my paycheck and household bills. Lila's accounts were locked down with fraud flags. We canceled outgoing transfers. We changed every password in the house that could hold value: email, banking, tax portals. And then the scam pivoted. A TikTok video appeared. Noah showed it to me like it was a grenade. A faceless account, a voiceover, a slideshow of screenshots, blurred but recognizable. Caption: "Watch this woman steal money and cry victim." The screenshots weren't random. They were curated to tell a story. Lila agreeing. Lila transferring money. Lila saying she didn't want me to know. It didn't include Jared's threats. It didn't include compliance. It didn't include the IRS letter. It was the scam's favorite weapon: public humiliation. Lila sank onto the couch, face white. "They're going to ruin me." Noah's voice shook. "Is it true?" he asked. I met his eyes. "Parts," I said. "But it's missing the truth." Noah clenched his jaw. "So Mom did it." Lila made a broken sound. I didn't argue with my son. I couldn't, because arguing would have meant pretending it was simpler. Instead, I did what Hank told me to do. I out-documented them. We filed takedown requests. Reggie drafted institutional letters. Hank preserved the posts as evidence. Detective Morales added the link to our case file. The takedown didn't happen immediately, but the institutions moved, slowly, but they moved. Then an email arrived from an unfamiliar address. Final notice: payback or prosecution. Attached, One of Lila's verification videos, her holding her ID and saying she authorized transfers. Manufactured consent. Leverage. Lila looked at the screen and whispered, "I can't fight that. It makes me look guilty." "It makes you look like you were coerced," Reggie said when I forwarded it. "And that's exactly why they made it." Morales replied, "Good. This is extortion evidence." For the first time in weeks, I felt something solid under my feet. Because the scam had made a mistake. It had sent us proof. A few days later, I found the second mistake. I was printing bank statements when a stray page slid out behind them, older, folded, like it had been scanned and printed again. A voided check. Not from Riverstone, from my own employer. And written on the top in Lila's handwriting were 2 words: backup account. My throat went tight. "Lila," I called. She appeared in the doorway, eyes wary. "What is this?" I asked, holding up the check. Her face strained. I needed a separate place," she whispered. "A separate place for what?" She swallowed. "Jared said the bank might reject transfers," she said. "He said I should have a backup." "Did you open an account in my name?" I asked. Her lips trembled. "I used your information," she whispered. "But it was for us." "For us," I repeated. "You opened an account in my name without telling me." She started crying. "I didn't think—" "That's the problem," I snapped, then forced myself to breathe. "Where?" "A credit union," she whispered. "He sent a link." We went the next morning. The credit union manager, Denise, pulled the account file with Reggie on speakerphone. Denise frowned at her screen. "The account was opened online," she said. "But the IP address, it's not from your home." "Where?" I asked. "A commercial ISP in Columbus, Ohio," she said. Ohio again. Then Denise printed the opening documents. Attached, a driver's license image in my name. But the photo wasn't me. A look-alike. Close enough to pass a quick glance, not enough to stand under scrutiny. Denise looked at me with genuine concern. "Sir," she said, "this is identity theft." I nodded slowly. "Yes." Denise placed a hold, printed statements, provided a case number, and something else. The exact moment the scammers had tried to cross from using my wife to using me. When we got back to the car, Lila whispered, "I'm sorry." I didn't answer. Not because I needed to punish her, because I didn't trust my voice. That night, Lila asked, small and shaking, "Are you going to divorce me?" I looked at her and felt 2 truths at once. I loved the woman she had been, and I didn't trust the woman she had become under pressure. "I don't know," I said. "I'm focused on the kids and the legal fire." Lila nodded, tears sliding silently. "I didn't want to betray you." "Intent doesn't erase impact," I said. Before spring, there was one last moment that showed me exactly how deep the hook went. It happened on a Thursday at 2:13 p.m., while I was on a work call about something boring, vendor lead times, pallet shortages, the usual grown-up noise. My phone buzzed with a notification from the bank. Outgoing transfer initiated. $2,950. Vendor equipment re-IMB. I felt the blood drain from my face. I muted my work call, walked fast to the dining room, and found Lila with her laptop open and her phone in her hand. Her eyes were glassy, fixed on the screen like she was hypnotized. "What are you doing?" I asked. She flinched, fingers twitching toward the trackpad. "They said," she whispered. "Who said?" I demanded. Her voice shook. "Jared. Another number. He said if I don't send it, he'll post the rest of the videos. He said he'll hand everything to the IRS and tell them I did it on purpose." My throat tightened. "So your solution is to pay him?" I asked. She looked at me like a trapped animal. I can't be humiliated again, she whispered. Noah saw it. Paige asked questions. I can't. I stepped in, grabbed the laptop, and closed it. Lila, I said, voice low, this is extortion. Paying doesn't end it. It teaches them you'll pay. She started crying, hard. I didn't think it would become this, she sobbed. I thought it was just paperwork. I opened the bank app, hit cancel, and then called Monica at the fraud department with shaking hands. Monica didn't sound surprised. They're pushing, she said. We'll block that transfer category. I'm also recommending we move you to a new account number, new routing, everything. When I hung up, Lila whispered, I hate that I'm like this. I stared at her. You're not weak, I said. You're scared. And they built this to make you scared. She covered her face. I didn't just hide it, she whispered. I liked being needed. I liked that Jared told me I was brilliant. You don't talk to me like that anymore. The sentence hit like a punch, because it wasn't about money at all. It was about hunger, loneliness inside a marriage that looked fine from the outside. I sat down across from her. Is this an affair? I asked quietly. Lila's eyes snapped up, horrified. No, she said. No, not like that. It was messages, compliments, feeling seen. An emotional betrayal still counts as betrayal. It just leaves fewer fingerprints. That evening, after the kids were asleep, I called a marriage counselor. Not because I thought counseling would erase fraud, but because I needed a witness for the human part. Someone who could look at this wreckage and name it without yelling. We sat in a small office that smelled like peppermint tea. The counselor, Dr. Nunez, listened while Lila described the job, the transfers, the secrecy, the shame. Then Dr. Nunez looked at her and said gently, What did this job give you that you weren't getting at home? Lila's face crumpled. Worth, she whispered. A feeling that I mattered. Dr. Nunez nodded and turned to me. And what did the secrecy take from you? She asked. I answered honestly. Trust, I said. The sense that we're on the same team. Dr. Nunez folded her hands. A scam works because it offers a solution to a real pain, she said. The solution is fake. The pain is real. We left counseling with no miracle, but with clarity. The scam had exploited a crack that already existed. And I knew I couldn't patch that crack with promises, not after the bank alert, not after the almost transfer, not after watching my wife reach for the same flame that already burned our house once. Spring arrived with more bureaucracy than closure. The IRS placed a fraud marker on Lila's SSN and agreed to pause collection while they investigated. The bank reversed 2 transfers. The rest were unrecoverable. The credit union closed the fraudulent account and provided documentation to Detective Morales. Hank traced Southern Procurement Services to a crypto off-ramp tied to a larger ring already on federal radar. He couldn't promise a neat ending. He could promise we weren't crazy. The scam's final attempt was quiet. A new unemployment claim hit my employer. HR called me in. I brought my folder, IRS notices, police report, FTC report, credit union documentation. My HR manager looked through the paperwork and said softly, I'm sorry you're dealing with this. I nodded. So am I said. But I'm not hiding. That night, after the kids were asleep, I sat with Lila at the dining room table where her job had lived. I'm done pretending we can go back, I said. Her face crumpled. Because I got scammed, she whispered. Because you hid it, I said. Because you took a cut. Because you opened accounts in my name. Because you chose secrecy over partnership. Lila shook, tears falling. I was ashamed. I know, I said. And shame is where scammers build houses. We worked with a mediator. We drafted a separation agreement. We set schedules for the kids. We split finances. We built boundaries that didn't rely on hope. Lila moved into an apartment across town.
Noah refused to go at first, then started visiting because kids need both parents, even when they're angry. Paige cried the first night, then adapted because 13-year-olds are resilient in ways adults forget. In August, Detective Morales called. "We made an arrest connected to the Ohio hub," he said. My pulse jumped. "Jared?" I asked. Morales paused. "We don't have a Jared," he said. "We have a guy with multiple aliases. The face was stolen. The LinkedIn profile used the photo of someone who's been dead for years." A dead person's face. My skin crawled. Morales continued. "Your wife's documentation helped. The videos, the messages, the bank records. That mattered." After the call, I sat on my back porch watching late summer light stretch across the yard. Noah was inside, headphones on. Paige was laughing at something on her phone. Life was still life. Different, but still. In September, Noah had a school project on consumer protection. He sat at the kitchen table chewing a pen cap and said, "Dad, what's the biggest red flag?" I didn't hesitate. "The deal that requires secrecy," I told him. "Anything that says, 'Don't tell your spouse' or 'Don't talk to the bank' is trying to isolate you." Noah nodded slowly. "Like a cult." "Like a cult," I agreed.
Later that night, I opened the folder on my laptop labeled Riverstone. Inside were the artifacts of a year we didn't choose. Letters, screenshots, affidavits, case numbers. At the bottom sat the first IRS notice, the paper that started it all. Notice of underreported income. I stared at it for a long moment, then closed the folder. The scam didn't win. Not because we were smarter than criminals, because we stopped feeding it. Fraud is a machine. It runs on shame, secrecy, and speed. The moment you slow down, document, and tell the truth out loud, the machine starts to choke. That was the lesson my family paid for, and it's the only reason, in the end, we still had a family at all. Different, smaller, scarred, but real. End.